As Indiana football begins the 2026 season, they are now trying to defend their national championship. We bring in a betting expert to tell you, do you buy or sell on the Hoosiers?
You are Locked On College Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome in. I'm Jacob Goins, host of the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. We've got our guy Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets and ParamountSports.com. We're talking all things Indiana football today because the national champions are back in action. Fall camp is underway, and the Hoosiers are trying to defend their national championship. We're going to talk about that 10.5 win total. Should you take the Hoosiers to go over, or is it a step back here for Cignetti in year 3? Lee, it's so good to see you, my friend. We're talking all things Indiana football. And before we get to what the expectations are in 2026, man, 2025 was magical. We don't have to tell Indiana fans that, but you got to see this team in person beat Miami in the national championship game last year. Tell me your thoughts on what you saw Indiana do last season.
Well, I mean, it was an incredible game. I wouldn't say it was the greatest college football championship game, but it was certainly up there. And boy, did the Indiana fans show out. I mean, they were out in large numbers. They outnumbered the Miami fans. I would say the 65,000 there. They probably had 40 to 45,000. And when you're all red, it really shows up. So it was a great atmosphere. Both fan bases got along. I was there 4 or 5 hours before the game. And I went to multiple tailgates. Didn't see one argument, one fight before the game or during the game. So unlike some of the other, teams mine played like Ohio State and Florida State and Florida, it was a very, it was just a great atmosphere, and I enjoyed it. It was some of the best football and hard-fought football. It might not have been, there might not have been some great catches, or spectacular plays, but I mean, there were some, obviously, that got first downs or touchdowns, things like that. But it was a hard-fought team between, I thought, two very talented teams, and it was that close. So even though my team lost, I'm a Miami fan. I grew up in Miami. My dad was team dentist for over 25 years. My daughter was a cheerleader. I wasn't good enough to play there, but if I was good enough, I would have wanted to play at Miami. Just came away from the game still feeling good about my team and very impressed overall with what the Indiana team can do.
Well, I think there was no question that last year Indiana was just the best team in college football, right? And so now the question that Indiana fans are asking and other fans are asking and the sports books are asking, again, you're a part of the Locked On Bets podcast, which people need to go check out, a daily show talking all things betting lines for games and seasons and win totals. Again, we're talking Indiana's win total coming up in just a little bit, but that's the big question in 2026 is, can the Hoosiers do it again? So what is your evaluation from afar of what Indiana lost, what they've brought back, and if they can try and repeat as national champions or at least be in the conversation?
So what people will, you remember the stars. Remember Mendoza, obviously a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
But what impressed me more than anything seeing them in person was they had no weakness. The reason they lost the year before, they had a couple of weaknesses. Sure. And he didn't have to be great. He wasn't great that night. They were so solid everywhere. They didn't have a weakness. And, everyone was talking about the matchups. Maybe the most overlooked part of the game was special teams. And the punt block was probably the difference in the game that won them the game. So doing the little things, and Miami really couldn't attack one player. What really impressed me on top of the toughness and no real weakness was the way the coaching staff, Curt Cignetti, made a key call, I thought, in the fourth quarter on that last drive when they were driving. And it was a fourth, I don't know whether it was 6 or something like that, 4th and 7 or 4th and 3. And Miami, the play before, their cornerback went out of the game and either hurt or cramped up, and he went after the guy that replaced him. And they got on the comeback, they got the first down, and that led to the touchdown. And that was for the field goal. I forget which it was, but that to me was what showed what kind of great coach he was. And they also
Yeah.
obviously had to execute, the center, the front line to block, quarterback, and the receiver. But
Right.
just so smart and everything coming together as a team.
Yeah. And so for this upcoming season for Indiana, of course, you lose so many of those pieces, including a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback. You lose Elijah Surratt. You lose Omar Cooper. You lose guys defensively like a D'Angelo Pons and an Aiden Fisher. But we know that Indiana is the king of the portal. They go and replace so many of those guys on both sides of the football. Are there a couple of names that you've been looking at in terms of what this season could be that you expect to stand out for Indiana that they brought in through the transfer portal?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Hoover, quarterback, he's a little bit different when he scrambles left or right. Mendoza, I thought, was better going straight forward.
Yeah.
He was not real quick. So he'll be able to maybe buy a little bit more time there. He has maybe a little bit stronger arm. Comes with a little bit more pedigree too. I mean, he's you look at what he's done at TCU, and he's not going to. The question is he going to try to force things like he did on a couple occasions with his team from behind?
It's a concern.
I think with a better coaching, I think he's going to be just fine. I think they're going to be able to run the ball as well as they did last year. They averaged 5.2 yards per carry. If you average 4.8 or more yards, you're going to be a very successful team. So
Sure.
I think they'll be able to keep doing that. Maybe a concern is at wide receiver. They had 3 very productive receivers. We saw Becker be the third receiver. If you might want to call him the weakest link here, we know the first 2 are going to be very good. We know that Marsh and Becker are going to be good. Becker might start off as the 1. Marsh might take over because I think he's a little more talented. But can someone, come forward? Can Bond come forward? Can maybe Morris at receiver be that third guy? When they're rolling the coverage towards those first 2 guys, and then on defense, they're going to have to keep getting sacks, but maybe not as many as last year. They were plus 22 in turnover ratio.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know if you can expect. I don't remember the last time I've seen, even like when the Miami teams in 2001, 2002 were rolling. I know they were double digits, maybe in the mid-teens, but I don't know if they were plus 22. So they obviously did it with great players, but to expect a plus 22 turnover ratio is probably going to be tough. So it's tough to get up there, but you sometimes just not getting a sack, getting pressure on the quarterback is important too. So I think they're in a good position here. They've also blocked 9 punts and kicked. You do that, and you've taken back a couple, for touchdowns on returns. You're going to be in good shape. So I like the look of this team. I think they're going to have a couple tough games. Everyone knows about obviously Ohio State, but the one game that scares me more than any other game for them is not USC. People love USC. It's at Washington. I've been to Washington in 2000 when Miami played there, and it was one of the loudest venues I've ever been in. It was like going to Tennessee. They were out of their minds. So that could be a trap game after playing USC at home. So Ohio State obviously is going to be the toughest game. I'm not buying into Michigan yet. I don't know if they made the right coaching change. I think he was like their 5th or 6th choice, and USC, they'll score some points, but they'll also still give up a bunch. But Washington does scare me.
Well, let's talk about that Indiana schedule, because the folks in Vegas say that Indiana football's win total for 2026, 10.5. If you go over, you're saying 11-1. If you go under, you're saying 10-2 or worse. We talk about that with our guy Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports and Locked On Bets right after this. Today's bonus episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by FanDuel. Baseball fans, if you think you know who's hitting a homer today, FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. It's easy to play. Just make your free pick for who you think will hit a home run in their game. And if you're right, you'll receive a profit boost to use on your next bet for a chance at extra winnings. Best of all, you can make a free pick every single day throughout the Major League Baseball season. Daily Dingers is another fun way to stay engaged with every day's games, whether you're following your favorite team or keeping an eye on matchups across the league. Every game has someone capable of going deep. Now, you get the chance to make your prediction before first pitch. And look, the trade deadline is over. New faces, new names in new places. Take a couple of guys, pick someone to go deep. And if you win, again, you're going to get a profit boost to use on your next bet thanks to our friends at FanDuel. So are you ready to play your game today? Join all the action at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who is hitting a homer. Play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. All right, we continue on with a Locked On crossover. Again, I'm Jacob Goins of Locked On Hoosiers, Lee Sterling of the Locked On Bets podcast. Again, be sure you go and check that out. Daily shows, and you're covering all sports, right, Lee? You're talking baseball right now. Just got the trade deadline wrapped up a few days ago. NFL's coming around the corner. College football, of course, starts this month. And so people need to go and check you guys out because you do phenomenal work at Locked On Bets right now. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, well, thank you. Believe it or not, our number one sport in 2026 so far has been UFC. So we're winning in every sport, but UFC, believe it or not, we've won 11 straight cards. 11 straight cards. We've won 3-2, 4-1, 6-0, 7-0. So and when we've gone like 3-2, we've won usually the top 3 fights as far as units. We rate them from 10 to 50 units. So it's only once a week, but it's been a very, very profitable sport for us. Like I said, we won in all of them, but the UFC, I have someone who works with me. He's out of Philadelphia, a former amateur fighter, and we just really just have a cohesion. We think alike, and the few times that we're on the other side of a fight, doesn't happen often. You throw it out, but we do all. In football, I'm a former college quarterback. We've won 32 or 33 years. So, people out there telling you they're hitting 85, 90, 95%. You see these ads on Instagram, TikTok. It's not true. The very best might have 1 year out of every 30 or 40 years where they hit above 60%. We do hit a higher percentage on our top plays, but we've only had one season above 60%. Quite a few in this 57, 58% range. So
that's still profit, though. That's still profit.
That's very profitable. So I just had a client call me, and my wife was listening in, and he said he was just a $50 to $100 bettor last year. He made over $10,000 betting on our football selection. So so we do things the right way. All our plays are monitored. You can go on our website, ParamountSports.com. When you click on recent results, you can see every single selection I've given my clients
That's awesome.
over the last 5 years. Awesome. And like I said, we give away free selections on Locked On Bets Monday through Friday. It comes out, it's up by usually 11 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern.
Okay. Yep.
And we give away usually 3 to 4 free selections each and every day. So obviously during the football season, 85, 90% are football selections. So if you're looking for some help, someone who's honest and can win for you, Kevin Rogers and myself, I think, do about as good a job as anyone.
And however you find Locked On Hoosiers, you can find Locked On Bets the same way on YouTube, your audio podcasting platforms. And then for more of that, you can find Lee Sterling at ParamountSports.com. And you're going to be talking a lot of Indiana this year, as I'm sure you guys did last year. Let's talk that win total for the Hoosiers. Our friends in Vegas are telling us 10.5. That is the win total for Indiana football in 2026. And for those of you on YouTube, we got the graphic up for you on the schedule. For those of you on audio, in case you forgot, I'll read it to you very quickly. Hoosiers start 4 games in a row at home: North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, and then Northwestern. That's a Friday night game for the Hoosiers. They then go on the road to Rutgers to start October, on the road to Nebraska, home for Ohio State right there in the middle, at Michigan, home from Minnesota. Then you get the bye week. You then wrap up with USC at home, on the road at Washington, as Lee mentioned, and then wrapping up the season at home against Purdue. 10.5 wins, Lee Sterling. Do you take over or under? Are you buying or selling the Hoosiers in 2026?
Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I usually release 7 or 8 win totals for my clients. It's not one of the selections I'm giving my clients because I think some of these margins are razor thin. Yeah. If it was 9.5, it would be one of my top 7 or 8 selections.
Right.
If it was 10, it would be on the borderline. 10.5, I still have them winning 11 games. I think they're going to go 11-1 and make college football playoff. If I had to guess on which game I would predict them to lose, it'll be either Ohio State or Washington. But this team is just so strong. No perceived weaknesses. I just love what Cignetti does. He's able to really identify what pieces are going to work for his team. What he does is he wants kids that work hard.
Yep.
He wants kids that are going to buy into the system, and also kids that aren't going to get penalized. They're very, very rarely is this team a penalized team, and that can make the difference in a lot of close games. Like that game against Ohio State last year. That game, one play or one penalty could have made the difference. Yeah. And I just think that they're a little more disciplined than most teams. And the only question, like I said, there's a few guys, obviously, that are coming in, and a few guys on defense are going to have to step forward. As long as they get close to the health they had last year. And that usually, you look at the teams that win national titles, almost always what they do is they run for more than 4.7, 4.8 yards per carry, and they stop the run. They only allow 3 yards per carry. Everyone talks about, the exciting players. And Fernando Mendoza was the Heisman Trophy winner. But the bottom line, you still win games in the trenches. And I thought that's what the difference between them and a couple of these other teams like Ohio State and even Miami. They won that game, Miami. They won that game in the first half. They beat Miami up. Miami came back, made a game of it, but they were just so strong in the trenches that they were able to outlast even two of the best teams in the country. So I am going over. I am going 11-1. I would say a slight lean on the over 10.5 wins.
Yeah, I just look, it's definitely a more difficult conference schedule this year than it was last year. I'm sure you've seen all the drama over the last several days of the non-conference schedule, but it is what it is. Indiana will start 5-0, Lee, without even have to think about it. Then they go on the road to Nebraska, where I think they're a much better football team. Then you've got, Ohio State and Michigan and USC and Washington. So even if Indiana goes 10-2, which would be under that win total, they should make the college football playoff. They'll have a chance to win another national championship. Anything less than that, though, I think Indiana fans would be disappointed, and I think college football would celebrate probably, but that would also just be a disappointment in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, you want to get the bye. Obviously, you want the bye. That I think might have been a little bit of the difference in them winning a national title. Miami had been on the road 3 straight weeks instead of like Indiana playing 2 weeks on the road. So in the first half, I think that fatigue makes a difference. And there's a lot of, it's so hard to predict. I go to these parties and people are like, well, who's going to win the national championship? Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So many factors, 2 teams in the top 10 could lose their quarterback the first week, the first series in college football. And things
you can't predict.
It's a lot easier for me picking games week to week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, we really appreciate the time. Again, Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, ParamountSports.com, and the Locked On Bets podcast. Plug it all one more time, man. We really appreciate you joining us and talking about Indiana, previewing the 2026 season.
Yeah, like I said, I love coming on with you, Jacob. And it's going to be a fun season if they're looking to have some fun and get some insight into gambling on a daily basis. Locked On Bets, like, Apple, Spotify, or go to YouTube. Just type in Locked On Bets. You're me and Kevin Rogers. Comes out 10:30, 11 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. We're actually going to put out some podcasts on Saturday mornings too. We like to do that.
Sweet.
Too.
Yeah.
So some bonus podcasts. There's never enough college football, so like to throw them in. And we have things like our blowout special, our underdog play, our lock, and we even do some bet a little, win a lot. Take some money lines in college football, some 5, 8, 10-point underdogs. They can win in college football a lot more in the NFL. You bet those, it's like winning 2 or 3 games. So Locked On Bets, and always my website, ParamountSports.com, for all 5 major sports.
Check them out. Again, ParamountSports.com and Locked On Bets. Subscribe to YouTube. Follow on your audio podcasting platform. Same thing for us with Locked On Hoosiers as well. So thank you all for being here. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll talk to you later.